Hey guys, so welcome to the designsketchbook.com, and today we are going to see 24 sketching tips with the cordless grinder. So I started to get a picture on Google Image for inspiration, and before starting feel free to download the Designer Starter Kit for beginners, the link in the description. Alright, so tip number 1, take inspiration from existing products, so it will help you to better focus on your practice. Tip number 2, choose a wider angle of perspective. As you can see on bottom right, this is almost parallel, but you're going to sketch with a wider opening of perspective lines to get a better effect. Tip number 3, draw the main section right here, so it will help you to have the main volume very fast. Tip number 4, import some existing details to give some more crispy detail inside. And tip number 5 here, sketch roughly the shape of the focus point so you have the better idea of what you're drawing. So tip number 6, use the construction lines to better visualize. So feel free to use as many as you want. Tip number 7, always start very light so you have a contrast between your construction lines and also the bolder one that you are going to draw for the tip number 8 for the product itself. Alright, so there is like two layers of visions. The construction lines are very light and the border line for your product. Tip number 9, think about the functions of your product and try to understand them. So for here, I'm actually redesigning the aeration side of the product by changing it, the form, the shape. So you can feel free to get the inspiration from your existing product and see what other shape you can give to it. So you can keep exploring new forms and feed your memory of forms as well, your library of forms. So tip number 10, so draw a minimalist handle to see through it. So this one is a trick as a sketching so you can reveal what is behind. Tip number 11, make sure the handle follows the same perspective as well. Even if it's an extra piece, make sure that it's also following the main form of your product. Because a beginner mistake is tend to do not follow the perspective, so always double check it. Tip number 12, draw like if the handle was not there. So why do we do that? Is to keep track of all the construction lines that are hidden behind. Tip 13, sculpt, removing or adding material. Sketch like if you would be sculpting, like if you want to add or remove materials, not just a series of lines. So that's how your mindset can actually better see in 3D. Tip 14, make sure details follow also the perspective on the main volume. Because that's actually a beginner mistake, is that whenever like you draw details, your brain is actually focusing just into the details and is forgetting the perspective rules. So make sure that double check as well your perspective lines. Tip 15, use hatching to block some areas to create a better contrast. So the choice of the usage of the hatching is really up to you, but for now we are not using them for the shadow, but mostly for the zone of to dissociate different pieces of your product. So this is how you can actually give it more impact to it. But I also use it for some area which are very dark as well, but not really much as a shadow itself, as a cast shadow itself. So tip 16, add some writing to spice up your product, so it gives it some more real feeling to it. So tip 17, think inside the box. So a trick is that now I'm adding the battery behind. So to draw it, I'm drawing a rough box first and then adding the details inside. So always keep in mind the rule of from general to detail. So tip 18, experiment. So if something like doesn't feel right to you, doesn't really inspire you, so feel free to actually erase and keep going, especially if you're on graphic tablets, it makes it easier. If you're drawing on paper, so remember to start very light so you can bold whenever like you have more confidence into your shape that you want. Tip 19, think of the user's needs. So you can see on the back, so how I found the solution of the shape is just trying to understand how people are going to use the grinder. So using like the palm, having a ball like on it, and with some few angles to make sure that we keep that stability when it's going to hold the product. Tip 20, take your time to refine and relax. So the biggest stress actually has been is now behind us, because the perspective is there, the main volume is there, you know what is going on there, but you can really relax to add some few details right there. And sometimes this moment is one of the most time consuming if you want to, because this is where you can actually really take your time to enjoy. Tip 21, no need to be perfect. Make sure the perspective is correct. But the main thing, if your perspective is correct, then you can get some more freedom into the interpretation of your drawing. As remember that your sketches are not like a technical product, but an intention of it. So what you want to get is a design that really translates the emotion and the function of your product. Tip 22, add a logo using a frame. So when I'm drawing the logo here, which is a typo, I'm drawing first a frame all around, and then I added the logo inside to make sure that it's actually better aligned. Tip 23, add extra axis and circular curve for dynamism. And it's going to also to help you for the tip 24, add a quick shadow below to give it also more feeling or to popping out. So like the grinder, he is like some kind of flying. Somehow like a spaceship though. Alright, so I hope you enjoy it, and remember that you can download the Designer Starter Kit for Beginners in the link in the description. Okay, so if you don't know me yet, so I'm Shutak, and I'll see you on the next video.